Here's video tangent function number 2. Let's say y is equal to 2 times the tangent of 1/2 of x plus pi over 2. Let's shift this one down 1. Let's go down 1. Okay? We'll try to graph this tangent function here. So our a value is 2. There is no amplitude since the function isn't a wave. Our b value is 1/2. So our period will be pi divided by 1/2, which is equal to 2 pi. Our graphing increment will be 2 pi divided by 4, which gives us pi over 2. Our c value is -1, which tells us that our vertical translation is down 1. And our d value is -pi over 2, which tells us that our vertical that's not vertical translation. Our phase shift will be to the left, pi over 2 units. So let's build our table. We'll start with our x values. We'll go 0 GI, 1 GI, 2 GI, 3 GI, 4 GI. So this is 0, 1 pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, 4 pi over 2. We need to shift every one of these left pi over 2, so this will be x minus pi over 2, which is -pi over 2, 0, pi minus pi over 2 is pi over 2, 3 pi over 2 minus pi over 2 is pi, 2 pi minus pi over 2 is 3 pi divided by 2. And so these x values will make up the first period of our graph. Our y values for the tangent function will be 0, 1, vertical asymptote, -1, 0. We're going to multiply each of these by 2, so we're going to have ay, which is 2y in this case. So 0, 2, vertical asymptote, -2, 0. And then finally we need to shift all of these down 1. So this is ay minus 1, so -1, 1, vertical asymptote, -3, -1. And these are the y values that we'll put on our graph for the first period of this tangent function we're attempting to graph. Alright, so let's see if we can sketch this graph. Most of our y values are below the x-axis, so I'll draw my x-axis up here kind of high. This is 1. No, this is y. This will be 1, -1, -2, -3. So that much has to be pi. Ooh, I'm going to squeeze it in here. Let's see if it's going to fit. I think that's going to pretty good here. That's 2 pi. And -pi over here. Now we only need halves on our graph, so we'll just cut these pi's in half. This will be -pi over 2, positive pi over 2, and 3 pi over 2. Now we go to -pi over 2 from our table. When x is -pi over 2, our y value will be -1. When x is 0, our y value will be 1. When x is pi over 2, we have a vertical asymptote. When x is pi, we're at -3. And then 3 pi over 2, we're at -1. So notice that our graph is not continuous inside of a period the way that we're drawing this. But it's also valuable to notice that if we switch colors and continue over here to the left into this table, that we would be at -3 pi over 2 and -2 pi, I think. -3 pi over 2 here, -2 pi here. And this graph would go from 1 to -1, down here to -3 when x is equal to -pi. And then we would have a vertical asymptote over here at 3 pi over 2. Sorry. And we notice that our graph would then be continuous inside of a period if we look at this as our period from -3 pi over 2 to pi over 2.